Welcome to the Vampire's Lair, where I talk to you about a book that has nothing to do with vampires, even though it makes me think of them. Today, I have a book review for you of Now I Rise, the second book in the Conqueror Saga by Kiersten White. This has been one of my favorite reads so far of 2017, and I think you're gonna like it too. Roll the intro! Okay, first off, I want to do some quick housekeeping. So as you heard in my last video, I did have a goal to get to 100 subscribers, and we made the goal. Thanks everybody who did that. That was awesome. So a giveaway is coming up soon, and you should be pretty stoked about the giveaway because it's going to have a new hardcover YA release in it, as well as another fun bookish treat. And there may be some other goodies. I'm not sure yet, but there's some stuff coming in the mail soon, and everyone should be excited and should enter the giveaway. Anyway, Now I Rise is the sequel to I Darken, which I did a video for a while ago, and I'll link to it here. So you can go watch that and see what's going on there. But for anybody else who doesn't know what's going on, Now I Rise is the second book in the Conqueror Saga. It came after I Darken, and the book centers on Lotta, who is the female version of Vlad the Impaler, who was the original inspiration for Dracula. So that's where that vampire stuff comes in. It always makes me think of that. So Lotta is going to take over Wallachia, whatever, which is now Romania. So I'm going to call it that. It's a lot easier. So she's going to take over that, take it back from all the corrupt people. That's what she's doing at the end of I Darken. She leaves to go do that. Her brother, Radu the Handsome, is still staying with Mehmed the Conqueror, who is now the Sultan, and Mehmed wants to go take over Constantinople. So both of them are going off to do their own things and take over the respective countries, okay? Radu's kind of stuck in the middle. He loves Mehmed. Mehmed loves Lotta. Lotta loves Mehmed. So there's that, unfortunate love triangle going on right there. And so that's kind of what's going on at the end of I Darken, at the beginning of Now I Rise. I tried to come up with things that I didn't like about this book, and I've kind of drawn a blank because there's really nothing that I can truly criticize about this book, because I actually thought it improved a lot on I Darken, which is not common for me. I don't typically like the sequel better than the first one, but in this case, I thought that this one was actually way better. One thing that I think White nails in her books is her characterization. Every single character in these books, even the minor characters, but especially the major ones, are completely fleshed out, very 3D, very, not necessarily likable, but understandable. I mean, every single one of them has strong motivations, weaknesses, strengths, everything, and it's not hard to see them as real people. So I think that she really, really nails characterization, and particularly for me, in Lotta, she does a great job of having this strong female character who does a lot of really horrible, brutal things, but somehow I still like her anyway. I mean, she literally murders people for her own political gain, and I mean, she's a political genius, a military strategist, and all of those things are so great about her, but at the same time, she's like kind of a terrible person sometimes, and she'll do whatever it takes to get to the top. But I love her because she's not apologetic, and she's also not surprised when people don't like her for that. So instead of whining about it and being like, oh, why don't people like me? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, like, I murdered a bunch of people, but she's like, yeah, I'm brutal, I'm intense, and I'm here to fight, and I'm just as good as any man. I think that this is something that a lot of YA female characters are lacking, that quality of self-awareness that makes us see that although they understand that some people might not like them, they're also thinking to themselves, it doesn't really matter what you think about me, I know who I am and I know what I can do. What I find most compelling about White's characterization is that she actually has created a character that I also dislike just as much as I like Lotta, and I still want to read about him. I personally can't stand Radu, and I know I'm probably going to get impaled with a spear for that, but whatever. I just don't like him. I think he's whiny and annoying, and he's snivelly and weak and kind of pathetic, and I understand, blah, 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 he has a crush on Mehmed, but I don't really care about him most of the time. But somehow, I still don't find his chapters boring or uninteresting, and I still want to read about him. I think that speaks a lot to White's ability to write characters that are compelling, even if they're not the most likable person in the world. Some improvements that I saw in Now I Rise that I didn't see in I Darken were the pacing of the novel. So one of my original complaints about I Darken was the fact that the story starts with Lotta as a baby, then a young girl, then a young teenager, and finally as kind of like a young adult. And so we don't really get to the action of the story, like the meat of the story, until kind of like halfway through. This book is completely different. So already, I mean, the story starts in a different place entirely, so you're getting a lot more action right at the start. And it starts with like a pretty big deal, you know, both of them going off to conquer different countries. But not only that, I think that White does a better job with incorporating Radu's chapters into the actual action of the story. In And I Darken, there, like, a lot of Radu's chapters are kind of just explanations of what's been going on in their lives, and then Lada's chapters are a little bit more action-based. This book does it differently, where both of them get a lot more action, which I really loved. Even if I don't really like Radu that much as a character, his story in this book particularly was fascinating. One of the things that I loved most about this book was that it's full of intrigue and betrayal and all kinds of secrets and mysteries and lies and things like that. And it's really good and it really hurts. So White does a great job of creating this emotional connection where you're connecting to like even some minor characters. So when you see them get betrayed in the book, it just like, oh, it kills you. It like broke my heart a couple times while I was reading this book to see certain characters get stomped on, basically. And the thing is, Radu will do anything for Mehmed. Mehmed will do whatever it takes to get Constantinople, and Lada is going to do whatever it takes to get Romania. So you're seeing 3 different characters who have 3 separate motivations, and they will do anything to get there, no matter what it takes. So they are hurting people, killing people, destroying people's lives, and it is extremely painful to read. And I mean, like, really, really painful. There was a couple times where I had to set the book down for a moment. But that's a good thing, in my opinion. If an author can stress me out or make me feel intense emotion while reading, I will buy the book, even if all I have is grocery money. I promise that I really did try to think of things that I didn't like about this book or that I could critique about it, and I can't think of anything. There might have been a few minor things as I went through it, but really nothing negative stuck out to me at all, so I can't recommend this more. I absolutely loved it, and if you're looking for something that's political or historical in some way, but you're not really into high fantasy, this is a good place to start, because this book is intensely political, and it's all full of like that fun intrigue stuff that you get in a lot of fantasy, but it's not 1,000 pages long, and it's also not full of like some of the random details you get in high fantasy. It's also a great book to read if you're looking for an alternate take on history or more Vlad the Impaler, because he's a pretty interesting guy. And if you want a book that is just centered on a strong female lead that doesn't focus solely on romance, this is the book for you. Or the book series for you, I guess I should say. If you are looking for more Vlad the Impaler, I would recommend The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. It's a great book. I absolutely love it. Don't be daunted by the size. It's honestly one of the most wonderful books I've ever read. If you're looking for another alternate take on history, a lighter book that you might want to read is Milady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. They're doing a full series on this type of book, these alternate takes on women in history named Jane who had really tragic ends. So they're doing like a My Plain Jane and My Calamity Jane or something like that, and they just sound so cute. It's a really fun, lighthearted historical romp, and I love this book. And another book that I just read recently that I thought was really fun that has to do with royalty is Romancing the Throne by Nadine Jolie Courtney. This book was delightful. It's like the perfect summertime YA fluff book to read with a little bit of like substance to it. Oh, it was great. It was a delightful read. So those are some of my recommendations for you today. Thank you so much for watching my video on Now I Rise. Please like, comment what you thought of this one, if you thought it was better, worse, or the same as the first one, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I want to suck your blood. I want to suck your blood! Are you sure it doesn't hurt?
Yeah, do it fast.
No, I can't do it!
You can do it.
Ah! Ah! I just put my hand in the wax instead! Ah! I can't. No! I just touched the fire! Ah, I can't!
You're so close.